don't understand why you're 40 years old playing the game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. So.
Well, how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you study and not play games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Alright, then.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Week in Culture on Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, and yeah, hey, what's up? Let's move.
Well, as you can see, we're live in progress on a pressing matter that's just happening right now with PlayStation, which we're going to be highlighting a lot today.
Yeah, so I just shared the screen of this live video, the PS5 technical presentation hosted by Mike Cerny. I have it muted right now, and there's no option to turn on. Excuse me. There's no option to turn on closed captions. So, I mean, we could just play it and react to it. We could do that because I mean, I'm not. The worst is that I won't be monetized. So.
What your character is experiencing inside of
you. So you should be able to hear this.
Yep.
It's wonderful to see such variety and richness of game experiences. Creators have made amazing use of the hardware capabilities, but when I talk to them, I do hear about their desire for more graphics performance. The dreams of the developers are
we're getting the Pro. Is that what this is? Yeah, probably.
Tentatively, this is more like the PS5 Pro launch.
Graphics
so we're actually going to be
a
breaking news. Woo! Look at us.
Fidelity modes emphasize the visuals.
I mean, we had this last week.
Resolution rendering.
With Concord.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, it's Providence.
Enhanced detail.
Yeah, dude. This early morning coffee time is
but the
where
games
it's at.
only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier, and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity.
Oh yeah, this is all about
PS5
Pro. If they're just talking about technical shit.
Mainly by reducing the graphical detail until those frame rates can be achieved.
I don't know. I'm not really that much of a graphics and frame rate spurg myself.
Removing that
maybe it's just my age.
I still have a. I mean, I have a 4K screen, but it doesn't have HDR on it, so
graphics that the game creators aspire to.
Not that big of a deal.
Frame rates the players typically
that's kind of how I feel about it.
To do that, PS5 Pro substantially
that and I do play
improves
also a
PlayStation
pretty
5 in
big
3
game
ways.
library that
Here's what
on
we
my
call
Steam Deck that
the
goes
big
back.
3.
My current
we made the
PS5 is more than likely my
much
last
larger
console.
And increase the speed of the memory it uses. The result is rendering that's up to 45% faster.
Oh, yeah, they're just talking about it. This is totally just about PS5 Pro.
Yeah. Tracing, taking a
streamlined,
accelerated approach that allows calculation of the rays at double.
Well, they got to stay competitive.
PlayStation 5.
Right.
And,
well, every system I think now is always going to have like a revision, you know, as like
they're going to revise it.
Half-Life.
Yeah. Or PSSR for short.
Because I mean, phones come out every year,
so the game images
it's not all that surprising that they're going to just, do an upscaled PS5. And it was a few months back that they took back the HD rating that they had on the PS5 initially, and now I suppose they're shifting to this for marketing purposes.
With graphics showing something like
I'm going to add a filter to this.
The frame rate. Here's the last running on
just to like make it a little bit,
It has huge amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60 frames per second. Let's compare this to the Fidelity mode on PS5, which is only running at 30 frames per second and is therefore much choppier.
Alright. Shrinking in a
almost fidelity-like
theater. It's going to alter the image a little bit, but it's just so that it protects us a little bit. So
yeah, but they are definitely saying PS5 Pro right there, right on the screen now. So we are legitimately looking at
PS5 Pro is close to doubling the power of PlayStation 5. Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second.
I'm going to let the Discord know that we are
What we see
breaking
here
news.
is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much
do it.
sharper and crisper than PS5.
Yeah, PS5.
For this, my favorite is the parade scene from Ratchet & Clank. Distant details are much clearer.
I'm
And
sorry
here
for
we can
that.
see
Hey,
Marvel's
TJWK.
Spider-Man
Hey,
2
Norwegian
is
Black
noticeably
Templar.
higher resolution
But does
throughout
it
the
have
scene,
16 times the
including the trees
detail?
and
No.
procedural
Hi, John
colors.
Ford.
So overall, some remarkable improvement to the games. On PS5 Pro, we can see increased sharpness to the graphics or smoother and more responsive gameplay. This is the big
but
three showing their value.
I'm not interested in these
As
games.
you can see, machine learning via the PSSR library is being used quite broadly to add pixel detail and boost frame rate. But there are as many approaches as there are game engines. The increase in raw GPU power is being especially effective for Horizon Forbidden West. Apart from the detail boost, that extra graphics power is allowing for improvements to lighting and visual effects, as well as to the hair and the skin in cinematics.
Open up, guys. Jorv's orders.
Good enough for me.
What is this
Ray
world?
tracing is finding broad usage as well, particularly when the games are focused on higher frame rates. The faster hardware.
This guy
in PS5
sounds like
Pro
Ryan
can
Reynolds
make a
when he's
real
chill.
difference.
Yeah, a little
Allowing
bit.
Gran Turismo 7 to add ray traced reflections between
Totally
We
does.
here
Oh, God,
at
I can hear it
Mint
now.
It's
Mobile.
continuing to support their
Right?
targeted
Yeah.
60 frames per second. That boost in ray tracing is also delivering big wins for Hogwarts Legacy. Allowing not
Is
only
Hogwarts
for better
Legacy a
reflections and
PS4
greater
exclusive? It's
variety
not,
of
is it?
reflective surfaces,
All I hear is
also
the
I
trombone from
realism in the
Peanuts.
casting of
I
shadows.
couldn't hear. I couldn't say
I
about
hope you've
Hogwarts.
enjoyed
I
this
didn't pay much
run-through of
attention
the
to it.
technology behind
Yeah,
PlayStation
me
5
either.
Pro. Simply put, it's the most powerful console we've ever built, and a worthy addition to the PS5 family. Let me wrap
To the
this up by
family.
giving
God,
you a
this
quick
guy's killing
look at
me.
a number of games
He should be
running
sitting
on
by
the
a
new
fireplace on a bearskin rug.
Right?
Okay, so they're really trying to sell the PS5 to us.
Ooh,
The
it's
PS5
got
Pro.
pairings on it. Look at
Is that- is
It's
that
got
how it's
sleek,
the-
sexy lines. Yeah, it's exactly the sketch that we've got on the cover image.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
I will
okay.
have to clip this and make a new PNG image today.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be worth it.
Because if they're just gonna show a picture of the PS5 Pro, then I'm totally gonna take it. You can't stop me.
The ad is so loud. I'll lower it a little bit for you guys. It's not even that loud. I don't even have it turned up that much.
Yeah.
Here, I
It's
turn it.
just
Oh my
that-
God! Assassin's Creed Shadows. Are they really gonna use that to sell this game to sell the console?
Here's my take on, because we'll probably be talking about it later today, about GTA 6 slipping to next year.
Yeah.
They're not going to release it
2025.
until it's going to be a pro. It's going to be a
Oh,
pro.
2025. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll do it. It'll be a pro launch game.
Like it's gonna come out with the PS5 Pro.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
Ascendant. Okay. So I'm just looking at
Or
see
that'll be
what.
the optimized version. Will be
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, like if you really want to be able to play GTA 6 the way it was meant to be played, you have to buy the
right.
new
Then you'll have to
console.
pay $1,000 because you'll have to get your new PS5 Pro and $200 version.
Here they got the
of
prices:
GTA 6.
$700 for
Yep.
the PS5
$700
Pro.
plus tax, so $750 for your PS5 Pro, and then like I say, $200 for your GTA. So $1,000 to buy GTA 6 Ultimate on console.
Yeah.
Yay! Or hopefully you
well-
have a PC that you can just run it on and get it in like 6 months down the line.
Yeah, I think
something.
consoles are
Who
on
knows?
borrowed time.
Yeah, I'm not.
Norwegian
not
Black-
even that
Yeah.
impressed.
Is this
Marginal
video
gains.
over or?
It is. It's only 10 minutes. Like, if you want to go back to the beginning and just to kind of go over what we missed while ours was rolling, you can. But I mean, pretty much got to the
I don't
meat of
think
it while
there's
we were watching
anything
it.
really much. It's pretty short.
Yeah, no.
He just talks
it's-
about
there's-
all the
there's
features
Dude
it
Man
has.
talking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is over. All right. Well,
Hey, we broke news. PS5 is
that-
officially announced.
PS5 Pro officially announced. Yes, Robert Johnson, it was.
Yep.
I mean, it's probably
There's images of it in the trailer.
Yeah, there's probably plenty of it's probably their most powerful console. I mean, it has to be. It's not like there's a PS6 anywhere, and it's probably going to be good. See, the thing is, I think that what has happened with consoles is that it used to be the case. I remember because I was a big Sony person. Like when I started off, I had my PlayStation 1 that came with Battle Arena Toshinden and the demo disc that had, and this was the first time that demos were even a thing, and a demo disc that lets you, sort of like do these little tests that show you what this new console could do. And I was like, oh, I thought it was great. And then the PS2 was like probably one of my all-time favorite consoles, and it's essentially the best-selling console of all ever, of all time, right? At least for now. PS2
is in multiple museums for its achievements as a piece of technology, and just
and it was also another thing was it was like it had a DVD player.
Yeah, it was actually the most popular DVD player on the planet as well, which is the other reason why it's
Yeah, so I mean, and the thing is, back then with the PS1, the PS2, the PS3, and even the PS4. Sony's whole model was we want these to be good for 10 years. Like we have a 10-year plan on these consoles, which is a decent goal to reach for, because
shoot for. But this is the 30th anniversary.
Right. If the console there's overlap. So when the PS2 comes out, the PS1 still has a few years left on it, and when the PS3 comes out, the PS2 still has a few years left on it.
There are still people solidly using PS4s right now because there's not much in the market.
I am one of them.
Because right. And I'll be honest, I have a PS4 Pro, the Death Stranding edition. I actually enjoy using that more, just from a feel capacity and things like that than my PS5. My PS5's a boat anchor. It's not reliable, and anytime anything happens to it, you have to go through a whole bunch of resets. And about the only nice aspect to it is that it does the network capabilities, but they've fixed that so that even works with the PS4. So you can I just use my PS5 as basically an outside processor. So I just have games that are housed on it, and then I'll go through a portal on my computer system, and I'll just open it up a window and just stream everything over my hardwire connection. Yeah, and that way I can record it easier if I want to do edits or anything like that. But yeah, systems at this point in time, I am not looking forward to picking this up. The PS5 has not, I suppose if they said it was more reliable and I got Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it really, for all of them, it always came down to games though. The tech could be out of this world, but if it doesn't have the games, it doesn't matter. And that was
right.
So there's that. For example, the original Xbox was more powerful than the PlayStation 2, but the PS2 was better seller because it had more of the games that people wanted, even though the original Xbox did give us Halo 1 and 2, for example.
Right. And you could actually do custom soundtracks on games and things like that. There were certain advantages to the Xbox if you had it at the time. But
didn't have the library that the PS2 had. And I think that people will forgive a console for being less powerful if the games are better. For example, the Nintendo Switch is probably the weakest of the current consoles, but it's most people's favorite because it has the games.
Because I have a PS5, and I have yet to ever buy a game that has been solidly for the PS5 since the day I've gotten remasters of stuff that was on my PS, but I have yet to get something that was only capable on PS5.
I think that in terms of specs, the PS5 is right behind the Xbox Series X or Series S. I don't know, whichever one.
The Series X is their top tier.
Yeah, it's behind the Series X, but in terms of the games, because you said that you have a lot of remasters, but there are a couple, and it's not a lot, and so I'm not even trying to make the case, but it's all about, again, the exclusives and and the PlayStation 5 doesn't have it. I mean,
right.
For
and
example,
a lot of those first-party exclusives are starting to go to Steam as well.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
that's
like,
where this weird transition is happening. Like I've had friends asking me, John, do I get a PS5? And I'm like, hold the fuck off right now, because like it's not even going to be their main system. And the weird thing is if they don't space this out right, if like people turn around and go and get PS5s, and then as soon as they buy them, as soon as they get done in that initial thrust, and they start advertising the PS6, how many people are going to like, I mean, that is going to be a huge smack in the face of indignation, especially when they're already raising the price of the original PS5, over in Japan, and then the which we'll be talking about later, the even the peripherals, the actual controllers, the price has gone up everywhere, and we'll get into it. So I mean, Sony is, like of the current standing, you could argue that they have won the quote unquote console wars over the years, because at this point, Xbox is effectively just a network service that you can have access to on a variety of devices, at least of which is an Xbox system. But Sony is going right in line with that. And I was predicting this stuff, back 10, 15 years ago when I was getting out of college, and while I was in it, that ultimately everything's going to lead to just being a different kind of hub service.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I think it comes down to is, again, like I said, it comes down to what are the games. The tech doesn't matter that much, and the thing is that even in this trailer we just watched for the PS5 Pro, a lot of the games are the same ones that aren't selling. Like, people just don't want Horizon, whatever the sequel is called,
right?
Whatever.
Especially
You probably didn't
game.
get it. Yeah, but like Horizon Zero Dawn, I get.
Oh no, actually, that came with my PS5. I gave it away.
Horizon Forbidden West. Is that the one?
Yes.
Forbidden West.
Yes, the one. Yeah, the one where she's all chunked out and everything. I just like.
Yeah, exactly. Like again, no one. It doesn't have as much appeal as they think. They actually gave away Horizon Zero Dawn, the first one. Oh, I'm hearing myself on your.
Sorry, that was my phone. Let me. I didn't realize it was. The volume is still on.
So yeah, they gave Horizon Zero Dawn away to PS4 players during COVID. It was like, for whatever reason, they were giving away free games. It was that and like a couple of other ones. And so I was like, well, they gave it to me for free. I'll play it. And I gotta tell you, like, I'm not huge on open world games to begin with, but there were a couple that I stuck it out and played all the way through. GTA 4, Red Dead Redemption 1, and Elden Ring. But Horizon Zero Dawn, I got bored to death. I was like, you know what? Not interested. And so the library isn't strong. Like, God of War is not what it used to be. Horizon's not great. Some games are just being made multi-platform anyway, like Returnal, which is one that people talk about, but I think you can play that on PC. I'm not really sure. And Spider-Man 2,
multi-platform. Right.
Yeah, and Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank, like none of these are really blowing my skirt up, and that's what they had to show on their little showcase. So they're making a new console, and that's cool, but there's nothing on it. And what I was going to say before was the 10-year lifespan plan is falling. The reason why I think it's not working is because it seems to me that the technology and the engines that the games are running on are moving faster than the hardware can catch up. So where before you didn't, like when you had a PlayStation 1, which was the first console and the only console I ever got on the first day, all the games were good on that console, and then later they released like a slim version and made it cheaper because the technology was getting cheaper, but the games weren't like necessarily outpacing them. And for the people who had to have, whatever the hottest games were, whether that was Half-Life 2 or Half-Life 1 or what was the game that was really big? Crysis. Will it run Crysis? Those people were PC gamers, and that was sort of like separate. But I think what's happening now is that console games are essentially sharing space with PC games, and therefore the consoles can't keep up. So they got to make like pro versions or series versions if you're Xbox or whatever.
Right. But that's also part of the reason, like, there's been this weird fundamental shift that they've done, because it used to be that you built specific hardware to be just that, and like it was awesome and it did its thing. But, they've slowly introduced this into the systems now where like they are just proprietary computers effectively, and so they do fall into that gap of trying to keep up with what's going on with the current state, changes in GPU technology and things like that, and so it has to be a little bit faster to stay in line with that.
Yeah.
But like it's also one of those things too where even though the technology's improved, part of the reason why they have to make these revisions is it stopped being about making fundamentally good technology, because the more that it's become this proprietary system, the more it's become built into have all the sensor bots and like all the AI scripting and all the little stuff that just kind of nitpicks at you and makes it like more of a less punk rock kind of experience where you can just actually just have fun. Like it's way too much business going on in a PS5. It feels like.
Well, I think that's a problem with the games industry in general.
Right,
yeah,
right,
no, that
exactly.
Because the Ubisoft, which we'll get into, Ubisoft stock prices going all the way down. Like if you're a quadruple A developer like they are, it's gonna have like this game design, game design by committee, which is like, but that's the one of the great things is that we are living in a time now where there is a lot more smaller devs doing things, and they don't have that same oversight. But when it comes
that's
to
my other, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, what I wanted to land on with the PS5 Pro is that I think that console games are on a very, let's say, limited lifespan. The only exception might be Nintendo Switch, and the only reason is because it's doing things completely like separate. It's not part of the ecosystem of PC games, Xbox games, and PlayStation games. It's almost on its own thing, and its brands are so popular that they're never gonna have to worry about people like not wanting to play Mario or Zelda or Metroid because they own it, and they're not gonna give it up. And I think as long as they don't lose sight of what makes Nintendo win and keeps it set, it doesn't even have to be the primary competitor, because Nintendo learned this when they released the GameCube, and they wanted the GameCube to compete with the Xbox and the PlayStation 2, and the GameCube was the most powerful of all three consoles, but it was the one that died. And I think it was because again, the PS2 was a juggernaut, but also
sometimes people just aren't ready for the thing, and like if it's too advanced, people never take they never latch on those features because it's just like it's almost too much to wrap their head around until
Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was another really good console that Sega made, and it was like
Saturn was ahead of its time.
I have the Saturn.
Dreamcast definitely was, so like. But there is like also this thing though that you're mentioning that I just kind of want to piggyback off of about what we saw in that trailer. Unfortunately, there's like a whole bunch of mainstream media titles that
that's what they're that was exactly my point. It's all stuff.
But that's the thing is that is not the zeitgeist right now. People are interested in supporting small independent game creators. I mean, I know that's what we do here is we we highlight the small independents and the people that are actually doing stuff that's about the sake of actually having like a fun replay ability to like get back into it, and you just got like like good Twitch mechanics and all this kind of stuff. And that's not going to be the stuff that you're getting on these sit-at-home consoles. And so, like, the other thing Sony is working on tentatively is the next PlayStation Portable, because, and not a piece of shit device like they put out last year that I completely explain how it works and it uses the same technology that we use to do our video that we stream to YouTube. That's all it's doing.
Yeah.
Is it's literally just throwing up a image of what's going on in your PS5 to a URL, and then the PlayStation Portal goes and grabs that URL feed and just plays it. And it should actually be able to work better than it does, because I was able to get my PlayStation to integrate with my Steam Deck, which is the thing that I'm saying is that ultimately you are going to see the next version of consoles are just going to be these handheld systems that are the equivalent of modern day laptops is what I call them, because that's what whenever I have to travel, I don't take my laptop with me. My laptop is effectively, an at-home monitor system for running my back-end server stuff, right? If I got to travel and I got to take a system with me, I take my Steam Deck, because my Steam Deck is simultaneously a game console and a Linux-based PC that runs open source software. So I can actually do OBS broadcast recordings and everything like that out in the middle of the woods if I so choose to. If you go to, my Problematic White Guy YouTube channel, I actually have videos on there where I'm doing exactly that. I've tested the Steam Deck integration between my PlayStation and my Steam Deck using things like Chiaki to access it a whole state away, like 400 or 500 miles away from where my PlayStation 5 was hardwired into the house I was living in at the time. I was literally traveling down the interstate in the passenger seat of my nephew's truck playing Death Stranding, just testing out the limits. So, there's a lot more going on with our technology that's going to be capable based on like these server client connections. And so if you're looking at it from that standpoint of where they want to try to go and sell you a server that you can access outside of the house and it's in tandem like that, and that's ultimately what they're doing, then again, I'm just going to sit here and say, well, I'd rather just get a Steam Deck because it integrates so well. And with as much as much of the spyware and everything like that's getting built into everything, I'd much rather just use versions of Linux and keep myself free and open and clear and just have open communication data channels and try to sidestep as much of this oversight fuckery that bleeds into every little thing that we say, think, and do, because we're just ultimately just trying to enjoy playing video games, and I know that we come here and we end up talking about all the stuff that happens in pop culture far and wide beyond games, but ultimately we just want to relax and just have simple just play video games and just life's easier. But
yeah, it's just like Elon Musk said, in defense of video games. He says, for him, he's a guy who is constantly thinking, and I'm not comparing myself to him per se, but I also have a mind that just keeps cranking on stuff, and sometimes I need to be able to unplug and enter a flow state, and that's why I game. But I mean, it's not
and it
just
has
that.
to be devoid of all that crap that normally gets in the way.
Yeah, all that modern day crap. I don't want it in my me time. So because it is essentially me time. But anyway,
escapism.
Yeah. So PS5 Pro has been announced. I think that for me, I'm not interested, and it's got nothing to do with the technology.
No,
and everything to do with the games. And the fact is, I think that gaming is moving more and more towards PC as the main vehicle now.
Yeah.
I think that PCs are becoming more affordable, and so this is probably how people are going to do things. I'm actually interested in getting a Steam Deck.
Linux-based gaming is so much easier than trying to make sure you have the right drivers for this and that. Like in the past, people would argue, oh, it's difficult to use Linux. No, man, Linux is smooth, and it just works for it. It's like if you're someone who can work with Apple systems and Windows systems, Linux is right there as this thing that can comfortably situate between the two. And you can integrate it more to your liking to either of those ends of the spectrum between those two walled off gardens that we otherwise, would be stuck with and having to deal with all their bloatware and other forms of just lockdown. So, learning how to get more comfortable with Linux, especially right now in these times of censorship and, all this, just overreach, is far more important than it has ever been. And that's the other reason why I would certainly suggest to anybody, if you're going to get a system and you don't have the most high end, TV, or you're not really concerned about all this graphical fluffery, get a Steam Deck and might as well get the OLED, because it will do that stuff that you're kind of wanting it to do. Especially if you run it in desktop mode, you can totally run your resolution at 4K. It might bottleneck a little bit because of the components on the inside and everything, but you can also mod Steam Decks. There's people who run external GPUs to them, all this kind of crazy. So there's far more open transparency in a system like a Steam Deck than there will ever be in the next PlayStation system, in the next Nintendo handheld, console, because they're all just going to be handheld consoles going forward. even if Xbox comes back into it, they'll probably end up just like, like buying up like one of the Steam Deck competitors, and that's, they'll get like, what is it, X1 Play or something like that. And that's how they'll move forward, is they'll just do it via corporate means of, well, we bought a smaller intermediary and now we're just going to use their face and, like make it so that like using this system will get you a cut rate on your monthly service charge for an Xbox service, Xbox place, what is it? They call it, it's still Xbox Live, but whatever their live service version is of it, that's, what it'll be is it'll just be stuff that's attached to a certain console going forward. And if you don't have one of those consoles, then you'll be able to get yourself a backbone or one of many other kind of USB control plugins for a phone-based system, and still be able to achieve a lot of this same stuff. Because, at that point in time, resolutions are kind of, ubiquitous. Like when you're looking at a screen, when you're out in your handheld system, the 4K stuff is kind of irrelevant. So that's will be the next thing, is just bridging that gap of making it so that you can have, probably an API of some form, do the upscaling. So you don't even have to really worry too much even about that aspect. So there's a lot that will change in the near to mid future in the way that people are actually accessing these game systems, just because this idea of buying a, $800, $700 to $800 with tax piece of hardware every 4 to 5 years, and they become marginally better over the last version. And that's from a certain point of view, but in terms of their actual functionality, maybe I just got a lemon of a system. And if Sony wants to do right by me and send me a new shiny PS5 Pro that isn't going to shut off and like lock down like this one always does, then you're welcome to, convince me. Turn me into a shill. But for right now, your system is like complete bunk, and I'm not going to get a higher end version of it for, more money.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you say something.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I think people who are smart with their money are going to make, a wise decision. Unfortunately, though, a lot of normies will probably just buy the new thing, assuming that it's available, because like when PS5 launched, nobody could find one. So we'll have to see. I don't know if the hype is going to be the same. Yeah, I don't know if the hype's going to be the same, but I do think that we're getting to the point now where the graphics are in diminishing returns, and they're going to have to, like, developers are going to have to focus on what we really want. I mean, you have to have good art direction if you're going to get the attention of potential buyers, but the game has to be good, and I think that's what matters. Not a freaking movie, but an actual
not live
game.
Service model bullshit.
Yeah, they don't go for that.
Actually start making single player games the priority again. If you want to have like a battle mode arena or this or that, cool. But this whole idea that you're going to run NFTs without calling them NFTs and just try to nickel and dime everybody through like, pointless season pass bullshit and all this. No, the world's far too expensive to keep trying that trash. We've all got more than enough backlogged games that we can just stop, paying for the shit. And, as it's kind of like almost a good transition, is this where we're talking about Ubisoft of going back to being private? Because yeah, like we can transition right into that from here, is that I think that the privacy thing is in many ways a way to shield them from the information that would be coming out that we're exposing in the work that we're doing about them and their WEF United Nations connections. Because, like, if they remain to be an open public company, then they're under public scrutiny, and we can actually, like, try for a class action lawsuit for this propaganda shit or something like that. Any of one of 100 million different kinds of, like, possibilities of actually drilling down and holding them accountable for the fuckery becomes less capable once they go back to being a private entity, because then they can just be like, well, you can't look at my books. It's a private entity. I have privacy rights.
Yeah.
And you've seen a lot of that happen time and time again over the last few years, because that's ultimately what's being happened is our privacy rights are being stripped away, and they're being handed over to these corporations to make us beholden to them and try to lock us down to their, walled garden systems.
Yeah. So Ubisoft is in the news. And according to this article from InsiderGaming.com, Ubisoft is being pressured to go private. So I just shared this article from that Park Place that says that Ubisoft stock prices have dropped 7% as company faces pressure from investors to take company private, and Star Wars Outlaws sales are soft, which means that they're selling, but not as much as they had hoped.
Right. They're
Ubisoft,
probably
the company,
selling to retailers, but that's about it.
yeah, or yeah, maybe. No, I think people are buying it. We could check the numbers at the end.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a single player game.
I'm sure it's a Star Wars game, and it's I mean, it's not gonna like, but it's not setting the world on fire, especially once people turn it on and had to deal with losing all their access and everything.
Yeah, there's that, but I think also there's just less enthusiasm around the Star Wars brand, and a lot of it has to do with how Disney handled it. So I think there's a number of reasons why people are less interested. I think Jedi Survivor is probably still like most people are warmed up to it. I have it. I haven't finished it yet, but I was enjoying it. I really like Fallen Order though. I really liked it, but I think Jedi Survivor went a little too many. I don't know. It had like extra shit that crept in just to give you more busy work, and I generally don't like that. I wasn't the guy trying to catch all of the birds in Assassin's Creed 2. I just wasn't that guy. So, but anyway, Ubisoft, the company behind Star Wars Outlaws, X-Defiant, Assassin's Creed, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, saw its stock price jump 7% drop 7% in a single day as it faces pressure from investors to take the company private, as well as reports of soft sales for Star Wars Outlaws. So,
they have pills for that.
What?
I say they have pills for that, for their soft sales.
The stock price has fallen to a low
behind them
of 13.67 euros. That's okay. It fell over 7% in the past day, according to Yahoo Finance. The stock price has declined over 16% in the past 5 days. It is also down over 41 months in the last, or 41% in the last 3 months.
Look at that,
and nearly
range.
30%. Yeah. So you can see here how their stock value has been dropping.
It looks like going into the ocean from the Florida coastline.
Yeah. I think the reason for this comes down to, again, Ubisoft is not innovating. They're basically taking what they thought worked from Assassin's Creed, and they have refined Assassin's Creed across multiple sequels. Assassin's Creed, I don't even remember how many there were. I know there was the Greek one and the Viking one, and there was the pirate ship one, and then they just take that skin and applied it to Watch Dogs and
Madden, but stealth game Madden
or COD or Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and they're not refined. They're not innovating really. I think that there was a couple of
their
games
stories
that
aren't worthwhile because they also make complete, they make a mockery of stuff, like the way that this historically based stuff is now doing it with all the woke fuckery. If you're gonna do history, do history. I don't need alternate takes. I don't want fucking any of this corruption that's there specifically to rot people's fucking minds and make them, impossible to talk to about legitimate world that we live in. And that's the thing is I have not been interested in getting a Ubisoft game in easily a decade. I can't even think of the last one where I was like, oh, I got to get that. Like, what's good from EA?
Well, what's good from? I like the first two Ubisoft. I like the first two Assassin's Creed games, but when they started making
years ago,
I know. Well, I'm just saying. But I saw that there was something that could be a problem when their next game was a sequel to the second game, so it was more Ezio Editore. And I was like, look, I like the character, but I think we should move on. And then they just kind of saw, oh, this sells, so we're just going to keep doing this. And then we got multiple Assassin's Creed games, and I think they're varying success. I think the actual third one people didn't really like, and then Black Flag was good. But the problem is that
but Black Flag wasn't even an Assassin's Creed game. It was the first time that they did the thing that they do now. Was they had this pirate game, and it was the best thing that they had mechanics wise, literally in any of their design houses that they were connected to, and they appropriated it to be the next Assassin's Creed.
because they wanted to use the Assassin's Creed brand to sell the game. And so and Assassin's Creed 3 with the Native American guy, that one was it underperformed. And so like but the problem with Ubisoft is actually the same problem that other developers have, is where they say, this is our brand and we're going to stick to it. And then when we make something else, we're going to make it look a lot like this thing that we have chosen. So, you know, what I'm trying to think of the name, Watch Dogs and Outlaws, this new one, Star Wars Outlaws, that's Assassin's Creed in space. It's still the same
When you mention
thing.
Watch Dogs, when you mention Watch Dogs specifically, like that's the game that we were talking about last time. You know, the alumni of these games, they go, you know, to different places, and they in that ends up saturating the market with more of this Me Too kind of homogenized experience. And so that fair play game that we were talking about, that looks like a piece of shit coming from Sony, it is ostensibly Watch Dogs under, you know, Sony's branding. And so like because even if they're using a different mechanical engine physically, the logic behind the engine is still the people who made Watch Dogs, right? And that game, Watch Dogs, is the thing that set the standard for the quality decline in Assassin's Creed over the course of this last decade, because Assassin's Creed is not Assassin's Creed anymore. It is just, you know, Madden Assassin Year X, you know? And it has completely ruined the whole purpose of what an Assassin's Creed game used to be, and that's the problem with it. If you're not going to have tight mechanics and a good gameplay loop, then you better come correct with the actual legitimate story, and they fail in all of these areas. You know, I'm only hoping that we still have, you know, Star Wars enough in the zeitgeist so that I can make an appropriate thumbnail for a show that calls her Cave Ass, because that's what she basically is to me. Yeah, you know. So I want to make the comparison. So here's where they talk about the sales, and I think this is actually like spot on. Christopher Dring, he says, he's I guess an employee at Ubisoft. We don't have digital data yet, and this is just the UK, but it was a weak launch for Star Wars Outlaws at UK retail. Launch sales were 55% lower than what Star Wars Jedi Survivor did. And I actually, so it sold a lot less than Jedi Survivor. And there was some hype around that. And I would say Jedi Survivor was, I mean, I haven't finished it yet. And when I do, maybe I'll do a review on it if you guys are interested. But I like it, but I apparently don't like it enough to keep going back to it. So I don't feel that pull to like do more. And I think a lot of it, again, Jedi Survivor, I don't even think that's Ubisoft. I think that's EA. But it is the Star Wars brand, and I think it's a fair thing to compare it. But the truth of the matter is that if you play a Star Wars game, and there's one game that's like lets you play as a bounty hunter, like smuggler, scoundrel character with a gun, and there's another one that lets you straight up play a Jedi, I think most people are going to play the Jedi because it's Star Wars. And so right off the bat, like the initial appeal for Jedi Survivor is there. Plus, the main character is a, you know, straight white male ginger. So, you know, we don't have any of those, and people are going to want to play them. That's my series on Jedi Survivor playthroughs, by the way. We need more ginger representation. So, but you also bring up a very valid point there. You know, just the way that you talked about the licensing. When we sit here and like, you know, everybody's always talking about how these games are going to fail and like, you know, it's got to lead to the end of this and that, you know, and it certainly is having a financial impact on them, but it still comes down to a lot of the things that they are concerned about, at least in Disney's end, is they can sell a license fee to Ubisoft and EA and so on, right? So like, as long as they make those licensee sales, you know, then it doesn't necessarily have to benefit them as much as it does the company who's now getting these, you know, tainted goods that Disney can't actually sell to an audience. And now so the shit's rolling downhill, and what basically, you know, people in the idea that they're actually going to make a profit using the Disney brand now are being shortchanged because they're getting caught up in the fuckery that is IP mining. And so like it ultimately is leading to a bigger entity in Disney being the last one, because it's a parasite, right? And so it keeps just bleeding everyone else. and putting that money into its system so it can sustain itself. And it's these smaller level companies that are going to falter and fall in on themselves first, because these larger corporations are able to leverage and do these kinds of things and then say, hey, go private. And then that way they can keep themselves also protected through the cover of, like this dark magic kind of, lamp shading of the fuckery that's actually taking place in the IP mining aspect, and how that's actually also being directed by these NGOs that would, fall under the idea of a globalist corporatist takeover that we're all actually trying to fight against, because it's affecting everyone, regardless what you think your politics are. Like your nation is under attack by a very few select corporations wearing many, many hats and many, many faces to get themselves around and maneuver, through the various kind of bureaucratic and lobbying states that they operate in.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna move on to the next story, but let us know what you guys think about that. I think that, and here's another thing too. Last thing on Ubisoft. They really need Assassin's Creed Shadows to be a hit, and I have a feeling it's gonna be an absolute dumpster fire of a game. Like,
it's not even pre-sailing.
No one is happy. The Japanese aren't happy. Yeah, the pre-sales are not there. Like, this is gonna be it. And I think that the investors are right to say, dude, you're fucking up. And I think that this, like, they're not, they can see the writing on the wall.
Well, hopefully they do an IP sell-off and they just, stop.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I remember when THQ went under, and it was a sad day because they had a lot of good stuff, and they're kind of back in a way, which is good. THQ Nordic, I think they're called now. So, anything can happen. One thing I will say too, last thing I'm on this Ubisoft thing, what they should bring back that I think could save them? They should bring back Splinter Cell, because that was essentially right up there with Metal Gear Solid for some people.
But they're too soy-faced to ever.
I know they're too soy-faced to bring in, and dude, if they brought back Splinter Cell, is Michael Ironside still alive? I know he's old. I think he is still alive.
I'm pretty sure he is at least old enough to do one more.
Oh, he could do the voice.
Yeah.
But
if not him, they can get Kurtwood Smith or somebody.
Yeah, like Kurtwood Smith. That'd be funny. One of my favorite, my brother's favorite game was Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. He said it had everything. It had a co-op mode, all kinds of stuff. I was into Tenchu, and that was another game that I would like to see make a comeback, but that's a digression. Anyway, yeah, just bring back Splinter Cell. What is Prince of Persia, the 2D one, wasn't bad, although it has the haircut in it. What is a Ubisoft game that you would like to see, them sort of like bring back that you think would be what people want? Because I do think that a lot of the reason why Splinter Cell is not even like being tabled for discussion is because it is, toxically masculine, and that's a problem. But I had to look at the numbers, but I think the sales for Space Marine 2 are pretty good. So maybe they'll like look at the market and say, "Oh, looks like people want to play games with men in them." So I don't know.
They're always tentatively teasing putting out an update to Beyond Good and Evil, and that's one of the few games where
that's that's never gonna happen.
I know. I know.
Let's just stop. Hoping against hope.
That's what I know. That's hope springs eternal. It's not coming, and because it's like the one game where they're like, well, we're just gonna like play with the visual fidelity and not. It's like you're gonna take a game that literally came out at the turn of the goddamn millennia. I remember reading about Good and Evil when I was in high school. Like back in the mid-90s.
I remember everyone gushing about how important that game was. It actually made me not want to play it. I'm sure it's not bad. I'm sure it's decent. Sure it's good even. But I don't know. Like I just kept getting preached at about Beyond Good and Evil, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. But that's the thing is mechanically and like just the age of it, it's like you're gonna bring that back and not alter it in any way. Okay, sure.
No idea.
I trust you.
I don't know.
I trust you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, bro.
But it is what it is. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about that story. Let's move on to the next one. So GTA 6, right? 6 has been delayed. Hasn't. Oh, this is they're saying
not officially. No, they're
not
and
officially.
They keep saying it's not going, but
talk.
it could slip. Yeah,
it could.
But given what we just watched, it's gonna slide because they're gonna put it in line with the PS.
Put in line with the PS
or PS5 Pro.
5 Pro. Yeah, the PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
So
and then when the PS6 comes out, then they'll put a new edition out optimized for the PS6. That's how this works. That is exactly how this works. That's what they did this last time.
Yeah, Jason Schreier said on Twitter X, the internet and my DMs. He's from Bloomberg. Blew up this weekend over a rumor that GTA 6 is delayed. Good news is that 6 Rockstar employees all told me they have not heard of any delay. Bad news, it's a big, ambitious game and could very well slip. Too much time left to say anything definitive. This was yesterday. So, might get pushed back because of the PS5 Pro.
Right. Well, when they say 2025, they also mean November or October earliest.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's already pretty much 2026 when the game comes out, and it's going to have, and I'm certain they're going to do exactly like they did last time. It will be, you know, I've gone frozen, but it will be, you know, it'll be the lead in of 6 months of the story mode, and then they'll get the online working, and slowly but surely they'll introduce it. But this is all just formulaic crap now. I'm gonna fix my camera really quick, so I'll let you talk while I do that.
All right. Yeah, I mean, they gotta play the game. So, if Sony says we're releasing a new updated console, most likely, I don't know because Microsoft already did that, right? But they might do it again. Maybe they'll do an Xbox Series XX.
Right,
XX, XY,
or XL.
No, it'll be X. It'll be XX.
It'll be XY. No, it'll be XY because it will come in an ethnically beige box.
Yeah, or they'll back out and call it the Xbox 2. Just leave it at that. Just because they love to confuse everybody with whatever they're making. So we're gonna call it the Xbox 2.
And not the number 2. The word 2, TOO.
Yeah, the word 2 in lowercase. COO. This is also an Xbox. But anyway, so yeah, when the developers they're looking at what console builders or markets are doing, and they're like, we're gonna adapt to that. And I think they probably do have because look, here's the thing. GTA 5's been around for 10 years now, I think. It's got a longer lifespan than the PS5.
Oh, easily. I had it on PS3.
It was on PS3. So it basically was through the tail end of the PS3 life. So that generation, all the way through the PS4 generation, and it's still being played now. They're still releasing, events and stuff for PS5. Richard in the chat says,
because its monetization scheme was broken.
Yeah.
But they had a broken monetization scheme, and that's why it's lasted so long. Because the more they try to lock down their monetization schemes, the more we see failing live service models. Is Rockstar actually wise enough to realize this? No. All you have to do is look at Red Dead Online and see exactly what they thought of, using proprietary monetary systems. And they completely ruined Red Dead Online, which was a different kind of play experience. It was supposed to be slow and social, and not in GTA was your war zone. And they would have capitalized but they're so focused on doing certain things in such top-down quick ways that they're going to make wrong choices for long-term investment in their audience, because they've been focused on doing that for the last 10 years, that they've been not even marginally, that they've been widely successful because of a system that's been fundamentally broken, that they would have changed if they had the possibility or capability to do anything about it, because they tried and it didn't work, and it hasn't worked. And do people still pay for shark cards? Yes, but the whole point being is that you can actually earn the currency in that game, and nothing that's in there is something that you can't actually do on your own. And that's the thing that they don't want to allow for anymore, or do it at such a slow rate that you're forced to do these payouts because otherwise you're just grinding away on games that shouldn't feel like fucking chores.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry.
a lot of modern games do. No, it's okay. I
have feelings about Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, no, I want to get this out before we move on to the next thing, though.
Yeah.
Where Rockstar is going to run into problems is that they have to make sure that when Grand Theft Auto 6 ships, firstly, it already has the online in there, and secondly, it's got to be strong enough that it will get people to move away from GTA 5 online over to GTA 6 online. And the question is like, how are they going to do it? Like, that's the thing. It's maybe they'll, I don't know. I won't even speculate. All I'll say is that
in a thing, unless they find a way to say you get your old vehicles and you can actually just have your property.
You can
in one,
bring things
on
over
the West Coast and a property on the East Coast, and you can travel between, and if they do that and they actually build upon GTA Online, but have it built in such a way that it's made for these higher end systems, and that would be a reason to buy a PS5 Pro or a PS6 down the line, then that's the only way that they actually have a killer app for this new revision of a PlayStation system. So if they do all these possible, none of this stuff, this is just speculation. So that's what it would take for me to actually even give a remote, scintilla of a fuck about this.
For sure.
I'm just kind of bitching about it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's like, at the end of the day, it's our money. So, but I think that Rockstar is going to be really like challenged to
don't forget their DEI tax that they're currently in the midst of paying too.
Yeah.
Because they got hit hard in the Me Too stuff.
Oh, for sure. And the other thing too is that maybe Rockstar needs to work on something else. I know a lot of people want a sequel to Bully. Maybe they could go back to that. Maybe I don't know who owns Max Payne. I think Rockstar did Max Payne 3.
Did just make Bully accessible to people who pay for their GTA Plus member service. I believe you can get a free copy that you can have access to. I stopped paying for the service because they raised the price on it. Like everything nowadays, the more you use, the price goes up. So
yeah.
And it got to the point where I couldn't just buy it.
Yeah, what I'm getting at is I think that people want Rockstar to go and either do something new or go back to something that they haven't touched in a while.
But the GTA Plus is going to be part of the next GTA 6 game. You're not going to be able to play online without effectively. You'll be able to play it, but it's going to be like a $10 a month kind of. I mean, it's $7.50 right now, but you're looking at ultimately it's going to go to $10-15. So 50 cents a day to play GTA 5 years from now. It'll literally be like arcades in our own living room. You just have to pay like a digital surcharge to do anything.
All right, let's move on to the next story. Let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. So we're gonna talk about Concord again a little bit. Concord, by the way, was pulled from the servers on the 6th, just a couple days ago. And it is officially dead as a game.
No.
I know. Oh no, how did this happen? Oh no, how terrible. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm honestly not happy about it, but I mean, this is what you get. So like I just hope people learn from this. So okay.
And thankfully they got a good engine so they can strip off that terrible facade and make something good.
I think they should
free play it.
I think they should just drop the whole game into a mod Discord and let mods go nuts.
Oh yeah,
and then
exactly
just, like,
what we talked about last time.
Yeah, let the mods fix it. You're gonna get like everyone's gonna have boobs, even the weapons, and they're gonna be massive, and that will already improve the gameplay if it has the appropriate.
And the boobs will fire smaller boobs that have boobs.
Physics engine. Yes, the bullets will have boobs. Also, like everything will have boobs and ass.
The booblets.
The whole thing. But anyway, so leaked Concord dev message. We're going through an extremely difficult time. This is from SmashJT, which one of my stories is about SmashJT. He's in the midst of a legal struggle, but we'll talk about that later. The toxic culture at Firewalk Studios continues to unravel as author or as another woke employee, Amanda Kiefer, senior concept artist, had some protected tweets leaked out. So let's see. This is a quick TLDR to catch you up in case you don't want to rehash the entire article. She does not like gamers. So these are more game developers who are really just activists that don't
With
like
a risky
gamers
cunt
or the
face like
games
that,
industry.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't imagine. While undeniably talented in her craft, because their artwork's not bad, Kiefer has developed a reputation for vehemently attacking those who criticize upcoming games, such as the Silent Hill 2 remake, and has even gone so far as to label dissenters as malicious. Her online persona paints a picture of a professional more interested in defending her ideology than fostering an inclusive and welcoming gaming community. Welcome to the current year, 2024. Before a whistleblower reached out to me with insider information about this disaster internally at Firewalk Studios, Amanda had already preemptively blocked me on Twitter. Well, a lot of times, if guys you don't know, these people have block lists and they're just automatically blocking people. I've been automatically blocked from people's lists since 2013. So I know, like at least on my old account, which
you
is
have
still
been at this game of Gamergate longer than most still.
Yeah. And my original,
which is also why you probably have one of the most effective shadow bans on you, because it's like a 10-year long shadow ban. Whisper.
It's not even a shadow ban. It's an overt permanent ban on my original account, which was just called, it was just like Doge, because that was the persona I had online.
Right.
And it's still banned. Like I go every so often, I log into that old account because there are people I knew back then, and I still can't get in, even though I have asked Elon Musk for help, but he does not hear my cries. But anyway,
that's because he wants to use it for his own Bitcoin.
That's okay.
He's for his
Dogecoin. Yeah, Dogecoin.
Yeah.
All right. But anyway, so before a whistleblower reached out to me with insider information about this disaster at Firewalk Studios, let me see if I can find the actual thing that she said. Apparently, she has significant influence. I'm sure that they do. A lot of this also has to do with the Me Too stuff going on in various industries and how women are using allegations and feminism essentially to leverage power towards themselves and away from the people who built the company and the customers. That's why they tend to be resentful of the market itself. The whole situation was reminiscent of previous reports involving other industry figures, such as Lisa Brown, who allegedly blacklisted employees for not adhering to her preferred titles, further contributing to the hostile workplace atmosphere. So what are in a leaked message from Amanda. Yeah.
I was going to say, before we get into it, you do have a super chat that came through.
I do. That's right. Yes. Xerax, thank you for the super chat. He gives us $5 and says, the idea people will learn from this is funny. GG happened. AAA chased WOW profitability to the point that they had to adopt F2P. It's been at least 20 years.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you for that. Lots of acronyms. That's what people are going to remember, are the acronyms. All right. Anyway,
I understood all of it.
I did too, sadly. In a leaked message from Amanda, she expresses frustration with the criticism aimed at her and her team, stating that the situation, quote, has taken a severe emotional toll on them. She acknowledges the impact of executive decisions and hints at the dire financial consequences faced by the art department. Yet her statement misses the point entirely. While it's understandable that the closure of a project can be emotionally and financially devastating for those involved, gamers are under no obligation to feel sympathy for developers when their products fail to meet expectations. Comparing this situation to receiving a poorly made burger at a restaurant and being expected to sympathize with the cook for trying their best, the community sees this as a deflection from the real issue, the game's failure to resonate with its audience. Well, it's not just, I don't think it's just deception. I think it's also self-deception. Like they believe that
they literally do. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. They don't want to accept the fact that they might not be good at what their job is. And I think a lot of it has to do with they've been filled, they've been like what do you call it? Gassed up to believe that they're the shit.
As the expression goes.
or yaslit into the stratosphere if you're a woman. And so when they fail, like I remember I was going to art school years ago, and there was a girl in my class that was clearly there because her mother wanted her out of her hair. And so she was like, you're going to go to art school. And because the art schools are all for-profit schools, they were just like, oh yeah, you're good enough. Like they, you know, and they let her in. But her art was terrible. And everyone told her that she was good enough. All of her relatives, her friends, the people at the school that were getting her in. And then she actually takes a class with the rest of us.
Real artists.
Yeah, and she meets real, well, not just that, because she still deluded herself into thinking that she was on par. But when the teacher said, you're doing this wrong, because what she would do is like, say you're
doing critique day.
Critiques it wasn't even critique day. It was just like during, well, we're sitting there and we're drawing the live model. There's like a model there and we're drawing the model. And he's talking about like essentially, giving the model depth by using light and shadow and all that. Right. And she does, all she does is she draws the outline and then she smudges it with her finger because we're drawing in charcoal. And she just smudges the edges and thinks she did something. And he's like, that's not how this works. And he's telling her that she doesn't know how to shade, but it's okay because that's one of the reasons why we're here to learn.
We're in the class,
But she was so convinced that she wasn't wrong that she would just sit there and say, no, that's just my style. And he was like, you don't have a style yet. You don't know how to draw.
You don't even know how to use the tools.
And she threw a tantrum and all that. And so it basically, it was really
the same thing with one of my blue-haired nieces, but go ahead.
Yeah. It was a real like sad thing to watch because you saw this person who had this artificial construction of what their reality was shattered because someone told her the truth. And the teacher he didn't want to do it. Like he was this very soft spoken, he wasn't like a really strict guy. He wasn't a drill sergeant.
She's never going to get better. And as a professor, you have to, and that's, I mean, a doctor doesn't always want to like go to surgery, but sometimes you have to cut a thing off or go in and dig something out. And that's what that's about. Like, going to college is supposed to be about like actually expanding your, capabilities because you're actually you're attentively, what it used to be was you were supposed to learn how to develop a thicker skin and actually go through systems of judgment and subjectivity all the time. Right. And so like you were supposed to like learn how to like actually refine your craft. Like if you want to develop a style, you can't develop a style until it's kind of like you can't be a man of peace unless you know that you're violent, because you have to choose to be a man of peace. Just like anytime that you stylize, it means that you actually have to have enough mastery of the base stuff there. Otherwise, you're just, at best, a punk rock kind of like, there's plenty of punk rock musicians who made it big who never knew how to play their instruments, and learning how to play their instruments ruined their capability to play punk rock. Right. So unless you're so good at what you do that it literally is just one of those things that makes people stop and ask how you fucking do it. And you're just like, I don't know, I just do it, Unless you got that going on and they paid you to go to art school, you're there to actually learn from people that can get you to the point where you can actually develop. You probably maybe have, if you're lucky, marginal talent going into art school. Not everybody has it, but skill and ability are things that can be built upon. But the talent is the thing that activates those other things that can be trained, at least in my opinion, from my experience. Like I'm good at certain aspects of art. But there are things that I just, I saw masters, same kind of deal. I went to art school and I was like, oh, I grew up thinking like everybody told me like they're gassing up in this little nowhere town in the Midwest. Like, oh, John's like great. I'm marginal. I'm decent. I can throw together like, some compositions pretty quickly, in a couple hours, just rough them out. But I'm not like these people that like you're talking about where you can actually go and use charcoal and gesso and like like a few different pieces of media and apply it to something where you couldn't discern that it wasn't done by in this day and age some AI rendering tool, and it's just like immaculate. And it's even better than that because it actually has like a human connection to it that's coursing through the work. So yeah, there's a lot of people in art school though that are not that, and art schools function on the idea that a lot of rich, well-to-do people will throw their kids in that system specifically, and kind of like, you know, like absorb a lot of the space in the room for shit like that. And it's funny, and in some ways it's kind of like, you know, you can't really feel bad for them, but you know, if they can actually take the slings and arrows and learn that they came into this situation being gassed up at the same time as being lampshaded, then maybe they can actually develop into someone and become something someday. But most of them don't have that, and especially, and that was even before we ended into this you know, current society of, you know, just being completely feel good, everyone gets a trophy. And what art school was becoming, while probably you and I were probably in there around the same time. I was in art school from what, 2004 to 2009. So back half of the aughts. And since that time, the place that I went to, which was Savannah College of Art and Design, I'm sure has, you know, only gotten more and more corporatized and, you know, turned into an indoctrination center, because that's what it was being. The game program specifically at SCAD, I was in the pilot program, and it was built specifically to start this idea of women in games and the shit that we're seeing right now, the outflow. So, you know, when we talk about how deep these things go, that is the deep state. That is like, you know, like putting people in there to create, because like the woman who was in charge of our art department, her whole thing was women in games, and bringing up every woman that was in the game design department was given privileges amongst us dudes. And us dudes, like, we actually had to, you know, keep refining our talent, skill, and ability and go against the grindstone, because we didn't have this, you know, kind of like just easy pass lane. And not to say that there weren't women in there that didn't have amazing talent, skill, and ability, but it wasn't all of them. And, you know, a lot more of them, by and large, were able to come out of the industry and get jobs quicker than a lot of the guys who still haven't been able to, and toil away in the independents, because it's more honest than, you know, falling in line with some culturally approved, ethnically beige woman that's, you know, been hired to kind of tell you how and why what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So her tweet, or her messages, they weren't tweets, I guess. There was this leak, and she said, "I was going to DM you after seeing this, but this site," speaking about X, "makes me pay to do that. So at the risk of getting dogpiled, I'm just going to say this here. A lot affected the art side of Concord, including design by committee, failure of some leadership to listen to the art team, etc. The chapter concept art team, including myself, is going through an extremely difficult time emotionally, and some on the team no longer want to work in games, design characters, or even do art anymore after this.
Not everyone's cut out for it.
Yeah, but I'll read the rest of this and I'll give my thoughts. Because of this, posts like yours, though understandable, are unfortunately ill-timed. None of us know which way the wind will blow with the studio, and we're worried, sick, and terrified of the future. Not only that, but we've been shouldering the brunt of the emotional labor as executives/directors dodge most of the blame. So now we're talking about emotional labor, which is something that I talked about.
This is an entertainment media. It's not right. You're not providing me sustenance, especially when you put the fucking message and all this kind of fuckery and everything that I just want for escapism.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing the direct opposite of what you're, you know, supposed to be doing as a server in this agreement.
Behind the scenes of all this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I asked for extra meat, not not some vegetarian platter, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, well, it's meat, but it's vegetable based meat, and it's not even vegetable based meat. It's just, you know, like scientifically based meat from isolates and whatever. It's all surface fuckery.
Yeah. Okay. Not only that, but we have been shouldering the brunt of the emotional labor as executives/directors dodge most of the blame. Behind the scenes of all this talk about Concord and character designs, people's livelihoods are at risk and there are very real financial consequences that might hurt us even more. That's just what I can say from our point of view. I'm not saying change course or anything. Us artists like being able to use social media to promote our work and get more jobs. But I am saying we see this, and it does absolutely affect us since we just got our teeth kicked in.
I feel for what they're saying to a degree, but to say if you want us to hold the people above you accountable, direct us to them. Join us in the ranks.
I think she's just passing the buck, though.
Oh, I understand, but that's what I'm saying is put your fucking, action where your statements are. And if you're going to sit here and say it's the higher levels, then be ready to lose your goddamn job because you're speaking out about shit that shouldn't have fucked you over and undermined everything that you were doing as a fundamentally sound artist, but you're not. This is all coping bullshit for people that are just like, I was just following orders. Don't hold it against me.
Yeah, that's essentially what. And also, like you're hurting our feelings, and it's hurting us physically, and we're scared and all this, and it's like, I'm sorry, but like I get it. Like losing a job sucks. But it's not my problem. And you have to know, like on some, like the thing is, what I don't like is this. The sign of maturity is accepting responsibility, even if you're not the person who actually pulled the trigger or the actual like catalyst. You have to be able to say, for my part,
this was my part in it, right?
Yeah, like I should have fought harder for better designs. I think that she thought that those designs were perfect, and this whole thing is just like a deflect, because before, actual artists with actual art training looked at it and said, here's what you guys are doing wrong. And I even gave them all of the good faith in the world when I said, look, I'm not saying anything that's wrong with the game itself, but what I'm saying is these are really bad designs, and the pronouns don't help, because it makes you look like that you took that. You're like, well, the priority is the pronouns. The directive. Right. Yeah, and that becomes more important than like the actual, appeal, the visual appeal and the art direction. So, yeah, but whenever somebody passes the buck, I lose respect for them if I ever had any. So, go ahead.
Right. Oh, well, I mean, like the way that they're going about doing for this game specifically, trying to just lampshade any kind of, oh, it wasn't me, it was this. They're just trying to do everything they can to make any of the focus be on what they're doing, because they don't, the thing about it is these are the kind of people that are going to sit here and say, pity me. But I bet you if you looked at like, their, fucking Yelp orders, or not Yelp orders, but what's a food delivery service that people use these days? DoorDash, right?
DoorDash,
right.
Uber Eats.
But imagine if they get their food late and cold. These do not seem like the kind of people who are going to go, oh, well, I understand the driver had to deal with traffic, and there was all this kind of stuff. No. I highly doubt. And so like that's the kind of thing. If you're gonna like sit here and say, I want to be able to like have this much leeway, well then you better have that much fucking leeway in the opposite. Otherwise you just want the bias in your favor. And that's not what we're here for. That's what got us here, is having biases in specific people's favors. We need to return to an actual system of equal opportunities and letting the chips kind of fall where they may. And if you're inspiring enough and like entertaining enough, you'll find an audience, or an audience will find you somehow, some way. It will, and it might not happen, but it's more likely to happen, at least if you actually hone in on what you're doing and doing right, rather than just saying, oh well, I deserve and this is where I should be. It's I myself am working up from the bottom right now. The Discord server that I made, if you look at it, there's a hierarchy on my Discord. I'm based on whose channel has this many members. Problematic white guy. I'm like the last person on the list, because the only other people that are lower than me do stuff on Kick, or aren't even really doing stuff but making music and putting out like a video every once in a while. That I'm like, no, you're part of this network. I want this to actually be about like more than just burning witches or any one theme. You know, we've got people on there that do long form conversations now. We got plenty of people that are making music. It's turning into a place that you can just go and just vibe and actually find other creators that might even be able to make you more of an effective creator. There's people advertising their services for editing. Like, you know, like we don't need to deal with this mainstream fuckery if we just go and take these opportunities in our own hands and start building upon what we're capable of doing and offering each other. And that's what they should actually be fearful of, is that we don't need any of them because, as you were saying, give it to the modders. We have all these games that are in our back catalog and all these modders who actually like figure out how to go and make like amazing connections to like AI systems that can make something from, you know, there's mods of GTA, Vice City, or San Andreas that look beautiful. Like they just came out on a system from like, you know, the last generation. And considering that those games are 15, 20 years old and actually play like games from 15, 20 years ago that we enjoyed playing, and they can actually get them to the point to where they're at a state of, you know, visual fidelity that you can't really distinguish that it's like not from something that would have been on like a PS4. I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know? I'm not that greedy.
All right. Well, so yeah, check out the Discord link in the description if you want to. Also, mine is in there as well. But let's move on to the next story. Well, I just want to make this one brief because, so Black Girl Gamers filed a. We did we cover that?
Yeah.
On Saturday.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
He's so SmashJT. Yeah, SmashJT is fine. Well, we watched that video.
Yeah, it was the first half hour of their stuff. Yeah.
Yes, we watched parts of this video, but SmashJT also covered this video, but because his channel is a little bit bigger than ours, it got the attention of Black Girl Gamers, and so they filed a baseless copyright strike against SmashJT. Now, if you get, I think it's like 3 strikes, and you're permanently banned from YouTube. And I just want to say what I think is, obviously this is unacceptable. He is going to fight. He has a fundraiser set up. If you guys want to check it out, go to smashjt.com and see if you can help him out. But I covered SmashJT like a while back. It was like when his channel was really small, and he had a run-in with Alyssa Mercante, and I made a video about it. Yeah, and he actually commented on my video saying thank you for, you know, saying something about this. So they're going to try and take him down. And so this is, and I'm using this to make a broader
As I recall,
point.
these are also the people that went after the Park Place, what, like 6 months ago?
Yeah, they came after that Park Place. That's right. So this is, this in case you guys are new to this, okay, these woke clowns, these insecure narcissists, globo homo, you know, gay race communists, this is their primary tactic. The thing is, they know that they can't win arguments. They know they can't, not against anyone who's somewhat competent in and is consistent in their logic and can see past their twisted use of language. And once somebody starts pointing out, here's what they're doing, here's what they're telling you they're doing, but here's what they're really doing. They did this Mott and Bailey thing where they say, oh, no, we just want this really innocent, you know, thing that you can't possibly criticize, but they really want something that's a lot more, you know, horrible. Once you point that out and they know that they can't get around it, their next step is to get rid of you. They have to make you go away. And this is like consistent.
And the argument becomes about my civility or my, you know, it's one of these other things.
Yeah.
Other than like the direct thing that is supposed to be the point of the discussion. They try to turn it around into like,
So, and there's a number, and this is obviously not simply limited to, you know, like god awful game development or game consultation studios. This is like at the highest level.
Times.
I will give it, but especially this year, because this is an election year, this is going to be a thing you're going to see a lot more. Recently, this is not related to games, but I'm just going to mention it because it's the same tactics. Tenet Media, which was essentially a news media organization put together by Lauren Chen, who I have spoken to on a couple of occasions. She's a really nice lady, and her husband built this media company, and it has Matt Christensen, Tim Pool, and Lauren Southern, all people who I never
Dave
met Matt
Rubin's was
Christensen.
one of the people as well.
Yeah, Dave Rubin. I never met Matt Christensen or Dave Rubin, but I've met Lauren Southern once, and I met Tim Pool a couple of times. Hung out with him at a party actually, and they have been. There was a story that broke suddenly that says that they were involved with RT, which is a Russian news network, and of course, Russia is like a big boogeyman that they've created, and they're essentially using it as precedent to remove Lauren Chen's social media everywhere, like clean sweep, and they're doing this with anyone that essentially goes against their narrative. And I believe that this happens at the macro and the micro level as well.
Dude, this is modern McCarthyism, red baiting bullshit, but in a different kind of fucking way.
Well, it's just that's just the excuse they used to do it, because Russia is not what it was. It's not. It's not the Soviet Union, but people
in many ways,
Russia's
more free and liberated than we are.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's true. But so this is a tactic you're going to see more of especially as these people continue to fail and they continue to lose work and games continue to die when they're released. These people are petty enough that they will try to take anybody down. And honestly, when they could come after me. I mean, like our channel, not this channel, but the channel that I work on with the Honey Badgers is on a list. We are on a list of the Department of Homeland Security because we are pro-male and pro-family and pro-fathers, and that's not okay. We need to keep the world, broken and atomized, and children.
The only daddy is Big Daddy government.
That's right. Daddy. So we're already on a list. Plenty of people are on lists, and I think that it's all these people at Black Girl Gamers. They're just useful idiots doing the bidding of these people, and you can expect more incidents. So don't be surprised when you see that Side Scrollers gets a strike, or Nerd Wars gets a strike, or Nerdrotic gets a strike. I think that they actually came after Nerdrotic or Critical Drinker
and a whole host of them. But to YouTube's credit, in this instance, they said, revenue speaking, shut the fuck up.
Well, he's making enough money, right?
Right. And so but that's the thing is the difference between. And so it was like I was saying, the larger scale entities in the bozo clown world reality that we're evolving into, they're the ones that have more insurance and assurances going forward as it becomes more of this tokenized kind of system of subjugation and being beholden to large scale entities through their various means of tokenization. So that's really the difference between the us and the them at this point in time is where the money is and pricing you out of your ability to even compete or to create a foundation. So that's where we have to start, thinking about how do we actually build ourselves up in spite of these systems that are designed specifically to undermine and prevent us from getting any kind of reach, which dovetails with the server stuff, but we're talking about this right now. But
all right.
But yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was saying it's just, this is more reasons why we have to take out everything that we see and hear in the media. It is being done, not necessarily to present reality, but to project into it, more often than not, especially when it's mainstream memes.
Yep. All right, next up, real quick, there was an admission in another episode of We Were Fuck You, I Was Right. K-Vess's face, K-Vess's face is being discussed, and they're saying the Chuds is right. K-Vess does look weird. It's not for the reasons they tell you, though. It could be because of technical issues and that it's more cope. But at the end of the day, and doesn't look like the actress. It's just look, there was somebody made a side-by-side video where they compared Red Dead Redemption 2's various, mechanics No. Just Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, right.
Just playing as Arthur Morgan and comparing it to Star Wars Outlaws, and they tested various things like what happens if you run into bystanders, like is there collision, like like these little things. And in Star Wars Outlaws, it was like you couldn't collide with anybody. And it was just a mess. Like it didn't have the depth and attention to detail that Red Dead had. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is what? Like 7 years old? It's like 7 years old.
At this point in time, it was before COVID Hell World, so yes.
It was it's 7 years old, and it did it better. Now, one could say, well, it's Rockstar, this is what they do, but Ubisoft's been doing open world for a while, and it wouldn't be hard to do it. I think that I wouldn't even call it laziness. I mean, part of it is that because they just took the Assassin's Creed skeleton and put a Star Wars skin on top.
Right.
But I think it was also, I think there are some
Watchdog Engine, dude.
Well,
Watchdog Engine is...
Yeah, they want. I think that the other thing is, I bet that consultation groups made it to where there were certain things you can't do. For example, the way that let's go with something kind of reasonable, an open world. Okay. So let's say you have an open world and you're playing Red Dead or Grand Theft Auto. You'll notice when you walk around, especially in GTA, there's no children. Like there are no children at all, right? Because
so you can't
they don't want you to kill them, right? Yeah, and they wouldn't know how to handle it mechanically. So they just pretend like children don't exist. Now there are children in Cyberpunk 2077, but I haven't tried killing any, but I might do that just to see what happens.
There are mods. There are mods.
Yeah, I'm sure there are, but I mean, like, I want to see if the base
vanilla,
game,
vanilla, it doesn't. The targeting doesn't engage
with children.
But
in Cyberpunk,
it doesn't, as far as to my knowledge, there's there's laws. This kind of stuff
right, exactly.
And so because like that's one of the things too is like even in GTA Online now, in their Salvation Yard update from about a year ago, when you could. Or it might have been 6 months ago. Either way, the one where you can actually get the salvage yard now, there's these heists that you do, and there's a weekly heist that you can do. There's one specifically that you go and steal a car from the arena, and it's on a derby track. They made it so that you can't target the women. It's the first time ever I've seen this in GTA. Like all the characters are, you're a criminal, you're doing crimes. But this is the first time I've actually seen it to where like you can kill everybody in that room except for the women in the red dress unless you use grenades, and they only die because of just the overall environmental damage. But you literally can't target even on women in a GTA Online game anymore in the new updates. So the shit, and like this is the thing I've been talking about for like last year is like the shift in GTA on why I'm not looking forward to GTA 6. Is because they have the fairness and safety. How many times have I said fairness and safety on our shows? Or safety and fairness. Like, right. But that's what the whole thing is like that is their bureaucracy and their policy work to go and like institute this user side censorship and to say that this is the reason why we have to do it. It's because we can't be trusted to be ourselves, and they also have to make sure that the property isn't able to be impugned and insulted by us actually just speaking about it freely. And so that's where like you see like companies like Amazon now saying we're going to put a 72-hour hold on your reviews and we're going to run a bot over it and make sure that we actually allow it onto it. And if you don't say what we allow by civility, then you don't have merit. So like there's a whole bunch of shit that's like being played through word magic and just kind of like changing the shape of things and trying to undermine the definition of words and like what people can even effectively speak to. So
all right, speaking of mods, I wanted to show you guys something that I thought was
did someone fix her face yet?
No, somebody, do you remember?
I bet they tried. They probably get thrown off Nexus mods for doing it because
there was an old game called TIE Fighter, Star Wars TIE Fighter, and somebody made a mod. This game is 30 years old. Okay? And somebody made a mod. It's called the Total Conversion mod. I want to show you what it looks like normally. So this is Star Wars TIE Fighter
TIE Fighter was an interesting game because the story that the game shipped with had you play
This is how it looked
but not as
before.
an evildoer. Your actions were portrayed.
This was
more
only on
as keeping the
PC.
peace
I never
and
played
order in a
it.
Tumultuous galaxy.
At least I
One
think
of
it
my
was
friends
only on
just plays all the
PC.
time. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just PC only
Civil
thing.
war that has ravaged your planets is over.
This is the old
Time to
one.
lay down your
I'm gonna
arms.
jump ahead a little
Process
bit
of
because I'm
preparing
worried about
All of this
you know,
happening
upsetting
in a
Lucasfilm
space flight sim
film.
that for some odd reason hasn't been able to be reproduced despite the massive monetary potential of the Star Wars IP. This game has always
Yeah, so Star Wars Squadrons did not. I mean, that was EA. I didn't play it. I could tell it was not good.
been one of my all-time favorites,
Yeah.
and I was shocked when I came across
So this is the
TIE Fighter
mod
Total Conversion mod. It's made by
for
a small
TIE
team,
Fighter.
and it seems like they have gone through and updated everything. What do I mean by everything? Well, there are some things that look obvious, like the remastered soundtrack, the updated graphics, which include ray tracing, but some surprising things that have been implemented include HOTAS support, Track IR support, and even VR. Hell, even the starting menu is completely different from the original game. These guys really knocked it out of the park, and this
Look at that, look at
bring
that.
this great work to a wider audience.
Mhm.
I cannot imagine how
And that's
much
the whole
time
thing about
it must
having
have
like a
taken these
solid
guys to
engine.
bring this
You know,
30-year-old
this
game
is
to a
like
more
when
modern
you
standard,
see
but
those
they have
4K
managed to do it, and that's why I made this
upscales
video.
of old
I'm
films
sure I'm
that
not
actually
alone,
have film
but this
grain
game was
and they
one of
look
my favorites
beautiful.
from my childhood. And
Yeah.
being able to revisit
It's something from
while
like a couple
being able
years
to
ago
enjoy
that
the
they go and
luxuries
try
of
to
modern-day
upscale from a
PC gaming
digital.
was
Looks
a
like
joy.
complete and utter shit.
Installing this thing did take quite a few steps, but it was certainly not hard. The mod has great documentation, and the base game Star Wars X-Wing Alliance is available on Steam, so I recommend you guys jump on it. This mod is also in a continued development state. They are going to be releasing version 2.0, which will include more missions in the campaign, and they are trying to flesh out multiplayer even more by making the campaign co-op. All the links can be found in the description. I thought the best
All right,
way
I'm gonna
show
jump ahead
is
to
our
another
interior
bit
view.
here.
And the hangar is pretty
Yeah.
neat because it does
And one things I like about this too is that I think that like with VR, I think people have always wanted to be able to like, you know, be in a dogfight in a freaking X-wing or a TIE fighter, and it just makes sense, you know.
remind you that you're just one piece of a bigger effort going on. And we're going to go ahead and peel out and start our mission. Again, remember the briefing said there were enemy corvettes, and the way that the corvettes work in this game, along with streaks going out,
Just
those are
jumping
proton
ahead
torpedoes.
here.
Now, if we lock on with our proton torpedo, and you'll hear a tone, then what'll happen is the enemy, because your missile's guided, they will be able to shoot it down. So you'll see me switching from guided to unguided in order to hit. So that's a lock. And I have fired. And we're going to see if this proton torpedo makes it. I'm keeping an eye on it.
This is 4. Your target for attack.
So anyway, I just wanted to show you all that. That was, let me switch it up here. So that was a mod team, and it's just the start. If you want to see the link, it's in my Discord server. Shout out to HMB4S for sharing the link, and yeah, so click on the link and check it out.
That's as old as a PlayStation itself.
It's 20 years old, 30 years old, 30 years old.
30. Because it's the 30-year anniversary of PlayStation right now.
That's wild. That's wild. So with that, I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but
I mean, it looks nice. Like I said, it just kind of reminds me that, you know, like I was saying, if you have like a really fundamentally sound engine, like look at Doom. People still use vanilla Doom and make amazing mods on it, and it's because like the way that games used to be more, you know, just kind of like laid bare. Even though it's one of those anti-intuitive things, like, well, why should something that's so old be so easy to work with? And like, because it is. Everything's built on that old shit, and so you can just figure out ways to get it to like, you know, kind of upgrade itself and get it to a next state and to a next state. Like sometimes, you know, if I do graphic work, I'll go and I'll upscale something, you know, like by like 30-40% marginal increase on what it's doing, and then I'll do that again and again and again and again and stack it out. So like I can take something that was like a 300 by 300 image and blow it up to like, you know, where it's almost like 3000 by 3000, you know, and still have like amazing kinds of fidelity and detail that shouldn't be there. But you know, it's just a matter of being able to know how to like, you know, make those adjustments. So this is a mod community, as you're saying. They want to like make Conquered not shit, give to people like this.
All right. Do you have any? We're getting kind of close to the end of the hour, but I wanted to do
it's happy fun time. Look
let's
at
do
games
some
and whatnot.
mental health checks. So, how is Concord doing? Now, Concord's been dead for about 4 days. Like the servers are shut down, so maybe this is a little unfair. But out of curiosity, apparently there's still 7 people playing. So they're probably people who work on the team, or I don't know. Maybe some people have found a way to stay on.
Yeah, if you're still in a session, until you turn off your system, you're still technically. I had a GTA Online session that I ran for, I think it was about 57 days. It was the first year that they did the snow, and so I wanted to keep the snow longer than So I had snow all the way up until like February because I just left my PS5 logged in for like 2 months. Or I guess PS4.
So Concord's at 7 people, but don't judge them. It's not fair. The game's been dead for 4 days. Next is Dustborn, because we got to see. So Dustborn's not dead, at least technically, but there's only 17.
And it has twice
17 people.
Barely twice the amount.
That are playing. So, not so good. Not so good. Not a lot of time left for Dustborn.
The one thing I will say about the Dustborn is a lot of people are like, well, this game's going to falter and like it's going to go away like Concord's. Like, well, there's difference. Concord is live service trash. This is a single player game. So,
I heard a clip from Dustborn. I'm gonna find it and we're gonna listen to it together.
Word.
It's on my Facebook page though, but it's bad. It's very bad. But first, let's go through the rest of these because I have a few other games I want to see, like how we're doing on. So next is, I believe it's Homeworld 3, 46 people. Oof. That is a big oof right there.
Because Homeworld's actually a pretty well-known property at this point. There's a reason why it's Homeworld 3.
Well,
so that's
again, I never played it, but it was very popular with a few people who are some of our viewers. And 46. This is this game dead? I think it might be dead. I think it might be a little bit of dead, a little
terminal condition.
He's only mostly dead, which is still partly alive.
Right.
All right, next. So Homeworld 3 is winning, though. It's doing better than Dustborn. Okay, so Concord's got 7. Dustborn's got 17. Homeworld's got 46. 46. So Homeworld's the winner. Next, we got Starfield, because I want fucking pronouns. I wanted to know how Starfield was doing. It was one of those games I meant to check on. Yeah, a year later. 7,629. That doesn't sound good to me. I don't know. Is that good? Isn't Starfield
a Bethesda
multiplayer
game?
Or something? Yeah. I
mean, let's just by comparison, let's go and look at like Oblivion really quick. Something that's old as fuck, but also just to see.
Let me see. Let me just quickly. That's not a bad idea. So Steam, Steam charts. Let's go. And what is it? Oblivion?
Oblivion, yeah.
The Elder Scrolls
or Morrowind.
Oblivion. No, I got it. Oblivion. 1,000. So Oblivion's doing not. I mean, considering how old this game is, maybe Skyrim would have been better. Maybe Skyrim. Let's see. Because I think
15 years
Skyrim was like the big one. There's like 2,020 people. Still, people are playing it. What about Elder Scrolls Online? That's isn't that a thing? Let's see. Elder Scrolls Online. The Elder Scrolls Online. 12,000. So better than Starfield, even though Elder Scrolls Online is it's older. It came out in 2014. It's 10 years old.
10-year-old game.
Yep.
And it's got 10,000 more players roughly right now.
Yeah.
Or not 10, 5,000. Sorry. It was 7.
Some people are saying Skyrim has multiple editions, so we'd have to like look at all the versions and then add those numbers up.
Right. And then
let's try. He said that's the Legendary Edition is the one that everyone plays. So let me just grab it. I see a special edition. Oh God, guys, why? Hearthfire. I guess special edition is the one.
Special edition. Yeah.
All right, let me see.
Special
Where
sounds
is it?
close to limited.
Yeah. Here we go. Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim special edition. 20,000, yeah. So that's woo, that's a lot better.
So that's 4 times as many people. So and that's an 8-year-old version of the game.
Well.
So
Well.
I wonder why the game industry is having problems.
Yeah, well, again, like Starfield did not like too many Austral Aboriginals and not enough game. Apparently, like, what's the game that No Man's Sky is? Let's look at that. Let's look at No Man's Sky. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
No
a game that people
Man's
detested when it first came out.
Sky. Yeah, but he went on a fucking redemption arc.
But but
24,000
did the thing,
24,568. Yeah. You give people what they want.
Do right by your audience. Yeah. Because I remember when this game used to sell for like under $5, you could get a hard copy of the game for under $5. And now I wish I would have bought one then, because now they do sell it for full price again. And I would actually pay for it if I had the discretionary income because it's proved itself over its time.
There's another science fiction, like space exploration game that was like, there was Starfield, No Man's Sky, and one other one, and I'm not remembering it because I didn't get into it, but I knew it was around the same time, and I kind of want to look that one up. But let's look at one other thing, okay? Fallout 76, because this is another game that was like not well received, and I think it did. I mean, people tell me it's been redeemed. That's what they tell me. I don't know. I never played it.
Right.
12,653 people are playing Fallout 76, despite all of the problems that it had at launch, which were a lot. So, I think that, like, honestly, Starfield and even Homeworld 3 could probably course correct, but I don't know that they have the will to do it. So,
or the audience. It's because like a lot of it's going to be dependent on a willing modding community. And I know a lot of people last year were saying that they weren't going to do that with Starfield because it was too blah.
Well, they weren't allowing, like, with, I mean, but they like ban mods and stuff too. Like, I remember.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes, especially Nexus mods. I wish there was another place other than Nexus that we could send people to. That isn't
there must be. There must be
friendly. There has to be.
Nexus mods is the worst, but I'm sure that there's other people that maybe you guys in the chat have a suggestion for a better place than Nexus mods to go for mods.
Yeah. And if you have one, send it to the Discord. Let me know.
Yeah. All right. Next we got Helldivers 2. I wanted to check. So Helldivers 2, not so good. 11,000. That's not good.
They put out a promise today. And yes, and on Discord, I read it, and they're going to be doing promises for the next week. Yep. And today's promise was, all right, so flamethrowers should probably actually like be able to do fire damage. So we're going to undo the fuckery that we did in the last update, and like the fire weapons are going to be 33% marginally more effective than they have now been cut down to in recent months. And then there'll be another promise tomorrow, and so on and so forth. We'll see if they can actually get the fun back in the game. But they've got 7 days from now is when they're planning on putting out this amazing update that's going to change everything and be a mea culpa and bring back the fun. Sure. My goodwill is kind of just whatever.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Like, I already own the game, so like, there's no skin off my nose.
If it does well, I'll go back to it. But not like I say. I know the way people in my circles talk about it, and like it's kind of like it's like if she hadn't fucked Tim, I would have married that girl. But she did, and Tim's got herpes. I'm not gonna fuck around with that shit. So
Yeah,
I mean that's basically the thing. Is like now like this thing that everybody used to once love he's like finding out this like, oh well, she's generally pretty good, but like there was that summer that she like whored around Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Incidentally meant Tim. You know.
All right, let's look at the next game on my list of the health check. So next we got Space Marine 2. Just came out, I think yesterday, and I was curious about it.
Look at that count.
And yeah, it's almost 170,000 people right now, which is actually not bad considering people are still at work unless you're in the UK. And yeah, doing really well. I'm still, I'm of two minds with Space Marine 2, but it's very highly rated, but what I am appreciative of is how many people have made videos about it saying, "Oh, this is what it feels like to." Well, that's not that. That's true, but also they're like, "Oh, this is what it feels like to be a man in a video game." Like that's what they're getting out of it.
Right. It does have a very Gears of War, 20
and reviews have been mentioning that there was the reviews have been meant they keep. The reviewers from the Legacy Media keep saying, "Oh, it's a Russian developer, so you should be scared." I don't know. They're just trying to like. Did you see that they reviewed 2 games, Star Wars Outlaws? I don't remember who it was. It might have been GameSpot. They gave Star Wars Outlaws a 70% or 70 out of 100, and they gave Space Marine 2 a 60 out of 100. I don't know about Wukong, but we covered that review.
Right. Well, that's the point that I'm going to get at it though. On this, of them saying like, "Oh my, Russia scare." As we said with Wukong, even if it is kind of like got some dealings with the CCP that we don't necessarily want, that's everything that you buy at Walmart. Yeah. No. So, of course. To hear that like, oh well, this was made somewhere. I don't give a fuck. Aren't we supposed to be like, this land of like we care about diversity and
most of the stuff we get is coming from outside anyway. Yeah. Of course they are. That's what they always do.
Like they sit here and they say, oh well, we have to give people the benefit of the doubt and this and that, and then like when it comes from Korea, like Stellar Blade, or like Russia, like this, all of a sudden it's like, well, no, we have to think about it's such fuckery.
Yep. And Black Myth Wukong is still at almost half a million players. So not bad. Now, being that we were just talking about Concord and the topic of hero shooters is kind of like in the ether, I thought I would look at some other team hero shooter games real quick and how they're doing, especially these older ones. So this is Team Fortress 2. It's still got 50,000 people playing. This game came out 17 years ago, basically. 17 years ago, this game came out, and it still has.
Made Steam.
It is. It is the mate that they. Remember the orange box?
Orange box. That's exactly. Yeah. You just bought it and it loaded up Steam, and then you're just like, oh, I've got all these games I get to download now.
Yeah. Well, there was a game called the Orange Box that you could get for PS3 and Xbox 360, and it gave you Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2, it gave you Portal, and it gave you Team Fortress 2. Yep. Yeah. So Team Fortress 2 still super, considering how old it is, still being played, and the memes are everywhere.
Right. It's because it didn't focus on trying to be anything more than a stylized fun fest.
Yep. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, Team Fortress 1, it was so bland looking. I mean, because it was kind of like your typical military aesthetic, but it was trying to be realistic. It didn't do well. Like this cartoony, almost like Pixar art style that they used for Team Fortress 2 is what sold it. This is what I was talking about when I made my video. Yes.
It gave it that extra oomph for the play mechanics to actually have because that's the thing is the more they try to feed in modern day this is just normal everyday life. Well, that's not escapism, and your weapons don't work right, and the physics aren't there for fun. You have these pea shooters. No, you need stuff that's fun and exciting.
Yep.
Things are balanced.
Now we got Paladins, which is a game I forgot to mention. So Paladins came out around the same time as Battleborn and Overwatch as a competitor. Well, actually, Paladins came out a little bit later. and it just never really took off. But there's still like 4,000. There's still more people playing Paladins than were playing Concord last week, like before they shut the servers down. That tells you something. Paladins even probably still had pretty decent character designs. I remember seeing some of them. They were obviously very like almost like knockoffs, but they were trying to do something with it. It just was, again, unfortunate. And then we have Overwatch 2, which is kind of like the one that, started this whole genre, really kicked it off. I could also look at Apex Legends if you guys want.
Check Tribes. Just see what they have for Tribes, because that's one of like the first.
I remember that.
Yeah, like Tribes Ascension. Yeah, like, and then it went to like being like a browser-based game, and like I don't even know if like Tribes games exist anymore, but it would just be interesting to see if they have anything.
Tribes Ascend.
Yeah,
I don't know. Is that the one? There's Tribes 3 Rivals.
Let's see. I think
it says came out in 2012.
It's still 2000. Yeah. 2000, or is that just ratings?
Is that Tribes?
Oh, nobody's playing
Zero.
Yeah, nobody's playing anymore. But all right. So, but that was a free-to-play browser-based game. So,
yeah.
But that is one of the first games that used to kind of like be the thing that started this off. Like, it's a proto game with all this stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
for
Overwatch.
sure. For sure.
Overwatch,
yeah.
33,000.
That's kind of dead, honestly. Overwatch, right? 30. That's kind of dead. I think that.
But even for a dead game, though.
Yeah. Well, it's still not bad. I'm just saying, like when Overwatch came out, my wife and I played a lot of it, and it was like so much fun. And then they fired a few people at Blizzard, and then everything started turning gay, and then the game just didn't have the magic anymore. The characters, the newer ones, were less interesting. And I don't know, it just, to me, like Overwatch is dead. And one of the things that really upsets me about Overwatch is that it like really wanted to tell a story, but it never did it. It just had these characters. It was like they made the characters first, and then they were like, well, we need to come up with a story. Oh, I know, robots can think for themselves, and humans are racist against them, and it didn't. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. So because there's also evil robots, but it doesn't really go anywhere. And I think one of the reasons because it didn't try to do anything more than be a hero team, PvP shooter, literally to the point where, like, if you don't have internet connection, you can't play Overwatch. Like, I think the only thing you can do is go into the training ground, and that's kind of pointless. So yeah, it's a shame about that. Although Overwatch did give us a lot of porn, so there is that. Yes. Apex Legends is doing well. Yeah, it basically, that's how you know Concord, by the way, is ugly. There's no Rule 34 of Concord that I know of.
No.
There might be in like the dark web or something, but but anyway,
right, like on the deepest parts of like, Silk Road.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
So I just wanted to look at some of the, like, these, how these numbers were, and yeah, I thought, I think that things are happening as they should. The market speaks, and that's the only way devs are going to listen. That's what's got to happen. So, Harry Pierce says Randy Pitchfork trying to sell Battleborn with porn edits of character Groiper. Zoophilia is not encouraged. Yeah, let's please not. Well, anyway. All right, so John, we're gonna end the show there because I gotta eat, and it's right about the time, and all that. It is
literally, we are right at noon, midday.
Yep.
Thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thanks guys for coming on the show. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Sorry. Let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today, and please join us in the Discord. Check out the links below. Thank you for the support. Thank you for joining us and watching with us. And please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode on the Week in Culture. Thank you, John, for joining me, and we'll talk to you all in the next video.
Safe travels ahead.
Yep. Long live Vivian, guys.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people. And maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.